The third option is nuclear weapons, and this is now coming up more and more frequently in Ukraine. If the West is not willing to defend Ukraine, and Ukraine is faced with an existential fight for its very survival, then why can Israel have nukes and not Ukraine? Israel is faced with the same existential threat from Iran. Iran seeks to wipe Israel from the face of the earth. Israel has nukes. I don't see anybody in the West complaining about Israel having nukes. Never. So maybe that's the other option. So NATO membership, security guarantees, or nuclear weapons. I mean, I don't see what other potential there is. Again, we have to also, when all of these issues are debated in the West, nobody seems to take into account the fact that Ukraine is a sovereign country, that Zelensky has said many occasions, including today, at the meeting of the European Political Council in Budapest, he said that Ukraine will not accept territorial revisions to its territorial integrity. He's said that on many occasions. How is any country, including a powerful US, going to be able to pressure Ukraine to do that if it says, no, sorry, we don't agree? Yes, then the Trump plan then says, well, the Americans stopped supplying weapons to Ukraine. Okay, well, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen. But let's remember that up until now, again, what everybody forgets is that it's the Europeans who have been providing the most money to keep the Ukrainian budget afloat. Because it's not just a question of military aid, it's also a question of economic financial aid. The Europeans have been giving far more of that than the Americans. And there's going to be a lot more, I would say, arms coming from Europe, and there's a lot more military cooperation between, say, European countries and military factories in Ukraine taking place as well. So I don't think Zelensky would want to say no to something like this, but if Trump tried to pressure him, I don't see how Zelensky could agree. And again, he has a constitutional inability to give away territory. He can't do that legally, constitutionally. But secondly, Zelensky has to look over his shoulder, because you're talking about now, there must be over 1 million veterans in Ukraine, a lot of weapons flying around. If Zelensky was ever seen to be, and I don't think he would, if he was ever seen to be betraying Ukraine, there would be a violent Maidan. There would simply be a violent Maidan against him. The Ukrainians, too many Ukrainians have died. There are too many people who have suffered in this war to accept some kind of bad deal with Russia. So Trump looks at these things so simplistically. It's worse than like a first-year student in grad school, literally. I mean, it simply won't be as simple as what he thinks to do a deal, both dealing with Putin and dealing with the Ukraine side. If he really wants to get the Ukrainians on board, then he has to, I think he has to bring NATO membership back to the table, which Trump has not been willing to do. And because that is going to be the one thing that can guarantee a peace deal in Ukraine. Is not the Europeans, and it's not security guarantees, it's NATO membership. And I think that is something that has to be revisited, shall we say. So good luck, Trump. I want to see the look on his face when Putin tells him to go take a hike.